What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Appleboys podcast. I'm Josh. I'm here with Robert. What's up, Robert?
My name Robert.
And we got Jimmy here.
It's Jimmy.
Hey, Jimmy. Cory is unfortunately not with us tonight. He is sick, but in his stead, we have brought on another guest host. Everybody, welcome Will. What's up, Will?
Hey, everybody. My name is Will.
Thanks for being here, Will.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're
nice
welcome.
to meet you.
Looking forward to tonight. We've got a full slate of stuff to talk about.
Josh, last week we had an airing of grievances, and me and Jimmy realized that we made a gross mistake.
Was it a gross Michelle mistake?
It was a big Mike mistake.
Yeah.
What was it?
Jimmy.
So I have some issues with NFTs, and I have tried to keep them from you because I know these are very important things to you. But I just don't fucking get it, man. Like, you have like all the monkeys and stuff, but like, who cares about the monkeys, man?
Who cares
like,
about the monkeys?
I can just screenshot the monkey, and I can print it out, and I can put it on my wall, even if you own it, and you can't do shit about it.
True that.
Okay.
If you're, I'm just saying, like, if it's like an intrinsic art value kind of thing, like if I'm like looking at like one of these Bored Apes, and I'm like, fuck yeah, that is perfect. I want to put that shit on the wall.
Right.
What is the fundamental difference between owning it and having exclusive access to that artwork and seeing a picture of it online and printing that shit out?
If we're just going to talk about the art aspect of it, what's the fundamental difference between you buying a counterfeit Mona Lisa versus having the real Mona Lisa?
Because that shit is physical and exists in the real world.
And whoever that artist is physically took the time to like make that thing, and they physically touched it, but
It's not a random generated.
Do you think that like the art for the NFTs just like magically appears when you think about it, or do you think somebody took the time to create that art?
Okay, so let's take this for example. So Adidas recently sold a lot of NFTs. They made about $20-30 million on NFTs. Adidas didn't make those NFTs. A artist commissioned by Adidas who was not named made those NFTs for Adidas. So like,
okay, so when you buy a pair of Yeezys, Yeezy didn't make those. Some kid in a sweatshop in Indonesia made them, but they're not named on the box of the Nikes. Like, you bought those because you care about the IP that's associated with them. So people who bought the Adidas NFTs, like, most of them are probably stupid, and most of them probably think they're doing that because it's going to be worth some insane amount of money one day.
sure, but I can walk around and wear these Adidas shoes, and people are like, wow, those are Adidas. But if I change my Twitter profile picture to a ape, people either don't know what it is, or they're going to think that it's fake.
I want to explain.
Okay.
Can you, before you explain, Will, can you provide the listeners with just some of your background, a little of your credentials?
Sure.
Give yourself a little credibility.
I started buying Ether on January 1st of 17 when it was $7.
That's $7 per
$7 per
one
Ether.
ETH.
And then I threw like 10 grand into it when it was $20.
That's a lot of ETH.
And I've been on that ride a long time.
Okay, go on.
But I'm off it right now.
Hold on, just so people understand, because a lot of people aren't down with the crypto shit.
So what's ETH worth today approximately
About $4,000
per ETH?
per ETH.
And you dropped about 20K or 10K into it when it was worth
$20
per ETH. Okay, so I'll let you guys get your pencil and paper out at home and do the math.
It was March 2017.
All right, go on. Explain to Jimmy what's up.
So, you're right. A lot of people can just print those things off
Sure.
and put them on the wall.
Right.
Probably could make posters out of them, T-shirts. You could probably do all kinds of things with them without worrying about copyright law.
Sure.
Because ownership of it is governed by a system that governs itself.
Right.
And it's provable ownership, which is what gives the original value, because that is, confirmation that there's only one person that owns it, or one address, right? So that's why there's a value, right?
And I think philosophically, if we zoom back out, anything that has value because enough people associate value with it. Like the paper that the US dollar is printed on only has value because as a society we've collectively agreed that it's worth something. But it's really not if if the world were in an apocalyptic state and the only things that would keep you alive are food and bullets and guns, right?
Sure.
Then the US dollar, the printed US dollar, is not going to be worth anything. Would you guys agree?
I do agree with that, but
Right.
neither is a Bored Ape.
That's my point exactly.
Right.
My point is that the reason a Bored Ape is worth something today is because a collective group of people have assigned worth to it. And there are only 10,000 of the original Bored Apes, right? And 10,000 sounds like a big number when it's just the four of us in a room sitting here, but when you think about the population of the planet, 10,000 is a really, really, really small number of people. It's a very exclusive club that you can be a part of. And we talked about this on a previous episode. Like, there's something exclusive about being a part of that club, and the only way to be a part of that club is to have an original, right? If you have a counterfeit, everyone in the club is going to know that. That's what the blockchain does. It's, as Will said, verifiable ownership. So if you don't think it's cool, that's fine. But there are lots of things that people assign value to that other people don't think is cool or don't think it's valuable, but that doesn't make it any less valuable to the people that have it or to the other people who want it.
I think I'm most confused about the crazy amount of money people pay for these things.
Yeah, because this is not like an insignificant amount of money. I just looked it up. Little Baby's, who's a professional rapper, he writes music and rhymes.
Right.
His Bored Ape is worth nearly $200,000. He bought it for $141,000, and it's gone up in value since then.
Like it's not a tangible object.
Right, but one of the things that you have to keep in mind is that the money that we're talking about it being worth is US dollar value, right? But typically it's transacted in Ethereum.
Right.
So if you're someone like Will, who bought $10,000 worth of Ethereum at $20 per ETH, right? And now it's worth $4,000 per ETH. Let's say you never sold a single bit of it. Like, somebody do the math on that. How many ETH did you have when you bought it $10,000 at $20 per? And what is the US dollar value of that today, right?
It's 502
Well,
million.
I can tell you, if you put 10 grand in the day I did, and you held it till today, then today it is worth about $2 million.
Right. So that's a lot of money, right?
So you got money to throw around. You got money you just found on the ground practically. So why don't you buy art with it?
That's the key thing. It's found money. You detach yourself from the reality of like what that's actually worth in the real world.
You're playing with winnings.
But I could take that found money and
You could buy a fucking car.
I could buy a car or a house.
You could, but a lot of people did that. Like, imagine that gain that we're talking about being an outsized gain, right? Imagine that not being $2 million, but it's 25 million or 35 million or whatever the case may be. Like, first of all, the question is, when is it enough, right? And then second of all, if you are early on in crypto and you're that heavily invested in it, then you probably don't have a ton of faith in the US dollar as a store of value, right? And so you're looking for ways to diversify your portfolio. So in the same way that people who are wealthy buy some stocks and maybe some gold and maybe some real estate and maybe some land and, maybe some fine art, or whatever the case may be, people that are wealthy in the crypto world and are looking for ways to diversify that wealth, NFTs are a really good way to do that. And like, if you scale it way back down and you think about like you and Cory were talking about playing Halo and Call of Duty and things like that.
Right.
Like, there's a pretty big marketplace for vanity within those games, right?
Right.
That's the same thing. It's people spend real money so that the way other people perceive them in this digital world makes them feel good about themselves. And that's what we're talking about.
But I'm not spending $200,000 on Halo. No one is.
But if you had $2 million, you might.
No.
If you were hype enough, maybe not you.
It's
but
all
somebody
it's
with
all,
that.
It's all economies of scale. It's like, for some people, the idea of spending $100 a week on gasoline for a vehicle is outrageous because they could never fathom having enough money to be able to do that.
Sure.
But then you start to find different levels of wealth in your life, or different like your standard of living adjusts as the amount of money that you have adjusts. And what you're seeing right now is a glimpse into like what wealthy people do everywhere. Like people will gamble outrageous amounts of money on things like coin flips because it just makes them feel alive.
Sure. So one thing I'm totally ignorant about that I want you guys to tell me about is, what is the NFT marketplace like? Like how does buying and selling work? And like, is there, like, if I buy a $200,000 picture of an ape,
Yeah.
what is the likelihood that I will be able to sell that for more money?
Impossible to know.
Okay.
That's impossible to know. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
Actually, this is something that happened to me today. Actually, it was to my friend Cujo. Cujo,
He's a dog.
he actually knows some of you.
Shout out Cujo.
Yeah. More people in this world know him as Cujo than his real name. So
That's neat.
he got in. I gave him my old MacBook Pro, and he used it to run MetaMask on, basically.
What is that?
MetaMask is a Ethereum wallet that kind of attaches to a internet browser on your computer, and then you use, MetaMask. Basically, you use that wallet to access web pages and interact with, basically blockchain web pages.
Okay.
So you can send value through those web pages extremely quickly, right?
Yeah,
Almost
and,
instantaneously.
And I want to just pause for a second because I remember, and it's not really been that long ago, when my knowledge of what we're talking about was so infinitesimal that, like, even the explanation that you gave probably wouldn't be sufficient for me to understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So when you have, like, one of the things we've talked about time and time again is things being verified on the blockchain, right? So the blockchain is all these computers that are working together to validate that the things that are happening on the blockchain are truly happening, right? So you have to have at least 51% agreement from all the computers on the network that this transaction was successful or that it did not happen, or whatever the case may be. And so when you go to a website that is interacting in the crypto world, whether you are buying NFTs, selling NFTs, mining cryptocurrency, or whatever else, you have to have a way to take the assets that you have within the crypto world and use them to either buy things from those websites or receive money from those websites. You also have to do things that basically what's called signing a web page with your wallet to verify that you are who you say you are. So that's part of the validation on the blockchain. And so the browser-based MetaMask wallet is one of the easiest ways to get into, like, using crypto on the internet.
Yeah.
But it's also one of the arguably least secure ways
Sure.
to go on.
I wouldn't send like tens of thousands of dollars to it,
Sure.
but I know plenty of people who do. They don't care.
Right.
But I mean, I wouldn't personally. There's many ways to go about this. But I don't know if y'all have heard of, there's all kinds of things you can do with, Ethereum wallets, right? Buying NFTs is one of them. I would say it's almost kind of one of the more boring ones.
Really?
I mean, there's a lot more fun ways to interact
Like drugs?
with the crypto world. No.
No?
Have you heard of yield farming?
I have.
You have?
I haven't.
I've heard of it, yes. I've never done it.
So I have a friend who has made a hell of money doing this. And what he does is he joins these yield farming projects like very early, like as they come up. and he throws like $500 in there, and they inevitably their token goes nuts, even though, it's just basically a proof of stake circle jerk kind of. It's just a bunch of people cramming into, one of these things, and the APY on it is very high. I mean, he sent me one today. It was like, I want to look it up. I think it was like,
I think you're going to have to dumb this down for us, Will.
it was like, so the idea, it's like a bank. It's like a savings account.
Okay.
You put your money in there. Well, you buy their token, you put their money in there, and you stake it. So it's not leaving.
Right.
Like you basically lock the wallet down.
Sure.
And then that money earns more of the token.
Okay.
And the percent like per day for the ones that are like confirmed not to be scams, in my opinion. That's the kindest way to describe them.
Would you compare this to a
Is like-
pyramid?
Yeah, a little bit.
So it's like a pyramid.
It's like many pyramids. So,
So it's advanced Amway.
well, here's the thing. Because it goes so fast.
Yeah.
Because you're making like 13% like per week on the ones that are like, straight as an arrow, verifiably not messed up.
Sure.
And that is still very high, right?
It's not like Squid Game coin.
No, I'm talking about, if you go to a bank, the, APY is like, 1% or 2%,
Yeah.
something, This is like 13% per week.
Right.
And in a bank, you can get different tiers, right? So if you have the premier level where you have to maintain a balance of at least $20,000 to be at this level, right? You're saying to the bank, I will always keep at least $20,000 in my account in exchange for you giving me this extra 0.5% or 1% of interest per year, right?
Yeah.
And so, Jimmy, I think to kind of go down the path that you're taking with the question of, is this a pyramid? What isn't a pyramid? Like how is
that is absolute. I've gone to an Amway meeting accidentally before.
Me too.
I swear to God, that's exactly what this guy said to me in the meeting.
It's true.
Like, man, this kind of sounds like a pyramid scheme. But what do you do now? Oh, I work for a retail company. Okay.
Do you have managers?
Yeah. Do you have managers?
Yeah.
What about managers above them?
Right.
It's just a pyramid, right? It's the same shit.
Here, I just sent you all
right, because it is the same shit.
it is.
It's wild.
But, it's not really, the danger of any pyramid scheme is the rug pull. It's
Right.
when the rug is pulled. And I haven't seen many of these rug pull.
Right. And there certainly are, like, there's this whole thing in the crypto community about DYOR, right? Do your own research. And there are rug pull projects. So there are people who are out there who are trying to capitalize on the fervor that
Yeah.
is surrounding the NFT space. And they're getting people to put this money into it.
And it's
then
easy.
they're walking away with it, right?
Yeah.
So say I am an employee at Lowe's. I'm just a normal employee. The people that I am convincing to buy products at Lowe's come into Lowe's willingly to buy a product. If I am working for Amway, for example, and they want me to sell an energy drink, I am actively recruiting, I'm actively trying to sell people energy drinks, for example, that maybe don't want energy drinks. And I'm also trying to convince my friends and family to jump on this train of selling energy drinks because I will get a kickback from them selling the energy drinks.
The problem is you're not looking at it at the right scale, because what Lowe's is doing when they show the commercial
Yeah.
is at scale. They're trying to convince people to come in and buy their shit. Am I wrong?
But as a Lowe's employee, I'm not actively trying to I'm people are coming into the store
Right.
willingly because they need lumber.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there are also people who are very, very passionate about their job, and they're going out and advocating for people to come in and see them.
At Lowe's?
People need shit at
Everywhere.
Lowe's. There's nothing that Amway sells that anyone needs.
People don't need things at Lowe's,
People
need-
build
you need wood to
houses
buy a
from
house.
things from Lowe's.
but you don't have to.
I go to
Right.
Lowe's.
It's a convenience thing. People built houses before Lowe's existed.
Wait, hold on. So I go to Lowe's to buy a light bulb because my light bulb went out. I need that.
I did that today. I went to Home Depot, though.
Yeah, correct. You can go to Home Depot. You can go to Lowe's. There's multiple different options.
Right. And nobody's forcing you to buy a Bored Ape or a CryptoPunk. Like, I don't understand what the
But I don't need a
difference
Bored Ape or CryptoPunk to like make my house work.
No, but you don't need a lot of things that you buy. Like, you don't need this Yingling that you're drinking right now instead of Miller Lite.
But I'm saying
You don't need this MacBook to survive.
I'm saying that
you don't need
Lowe's
this microphone that you're talking into. I don't understand.
I'm saying that Lowe's has things that I need to like have a comfortable life.
Things with utility.
Correct. It's utilities.
So I think that's what Jimmy is trying to say. Like other places sell necessities, and the thing about
But is that the only type of place you shop? Only where they sell nothing but necessities?
no, but that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
So there are uses for pretty much everything that we're talking about. Like the use for an NFT is it's just a straight vanity piece.
It's clout.
No, it's absolutely not. So you guys
disagree.
have ignored what I've told you about
No, I haven't.
the two projects that I'm involved in most heavily, which are Sports Icon and Dirt, DRRT. Okay, so Sports Icon is a sporting-based NFT project where they sign major athletes and they bring them on and make cinematic quality NFTs about the athletes' careers, their lives, or whatever, and they memorialize them on the blockchain and they sell these NFTs, and all that part is vanity, right? But the money they make from selling the NFTs and from their DAO is used to provide real world utility. So the fact that I'm a holder in their Lion Club means that I have an option to use my lions, whether through staking or through raffles or whatever else, to attend real world sporting events. Now, do I need to go to a Super Bowl to be able to survive? No. But would I like to be able to go see a Super Bowl? Yes. And this potentially provides me an opportunity to do that when I wouldn't be able to otherwise afford to. My membership in the club gives me a chance to go see something that I might not have otherwise been able to do. And then the Dirt thing for me is even more exciting because it's a decentralized ownership record label where I can earn royalties of the artist's stream profits and record sale profits and things like that, in addition to being able to go see live shows at no cost as an owner of the NFT. So Jimmy, you're into music. Rob, you're into music. Like, you guys go to music festivals and things like that. So what if every artist who's on a particular label, now that label's very small currently, right? But every label starts somewhere and gets bigger, right? So if every artist who's on a label, if you were able to go see any of their shows that you wanted to live for free based on your interest, wouldn't that be something that you would consider utility?
So the artists I see tour maybe once a year. And once a year, I can pay $25 and go see them.
So in the sake of Josh's argument, let's pretend that is not the case.
I'm just being somewhat of a contrarian here to try to spark conversation.
I'm trying to hear Josh out here.
Okay.
But I have another point to make after this.
Okay.
But let's just say that let's say it's Rockefeller Records, for example. I don't know. And it's like their entire label, and they come around like once a month. You have an artist come into town, and if you hold a token from them, then you can go see any show you want wherever.
Sure.
Would you hold that token? That's the question.
Depends on the cost of the token.
$200.
$200. I would.
$200 a year is pretty good.
I would
No,
buy.
it's not $200 a year. You buy an NFT once,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
and you own it forever.
I would absolutely do
You
that.
paid $200 for that.
Yes,
right?
I would do that.
So let's say that the more of these tokens that you own, the more of the record label you own. The tokens are basically your equity within the record label. So if you bought in early at a low price and you bet on them being bigger, right? It's like any other project that you invest in early on. So you invest in a company because you believe in the vision of the entrepreneur who's leading the company. You believe in where the company's going. So you stake some of your money in exchange for a chance at some of their future profits, right?
Or how about a guarantee that you'll get, 13% per week for the next. See what I'm saying? In the arena of value proposition, right? NFTs at the moment, they're far more attractive things, right? Except in some isolated circumstances. I mean, you know, people are dumping money into this stuff. Like this guy, he puts $500 into this thing. He waits, I mean, in a very early one, right? So the APY is absurdly high. It's like billions of %, you know? And it just happened to be when people were buying it. So he just took out his initial like a week into it, right? And then, you know, lets the rest of it run.
Right.
You know, it's high risk. But if it goes long enough, he'll have enough to buy as many NFTs as he wants.
It's true.
So my issue with what you just said is that you started the sentence or the paragraph, whatever. You started saying, but what if you could make a guaranteed 13% perpetually? And then you ended that with, it's high risk, but who cares?
Yeah.
So I'm getting conflicting opinions here. And if it was a guaranteed 13% per week for the rest of eternity, why doesn't just everyone in existence do this? And if so, where does the money come from?
Well, a lot of people are doing it, which is why it's working. That's why. Enough people are just participating in it that it's becoming self-fulfilling, right? You know, the earliest attempt at this was BitConnect. I'm sure you've seen the BitConnect memes. Their whole idea was, you know, you put money into this thing, and they didn't call it. This wasn't yield farming, but in my opinion, this is pretty much the same. You know, appealing to the same demographic, right? Is you put money in, you just stake it, you leave it.
Right.
Eventually, Ethereum will run on this idea. You know, I mean, that's what staking is. That's just how it works.
I think an even earlier idea of sort of what's happening in the NFT space is if you think back to one of the very first massively multiplayer online games, which is Ultima Online, right? So in Ultima Online, it's a persistent world. It's a digital world, right? So you're logging on to this game and you're playing with other people, but they had land ownership within that game, right? But they had a very finite number of plots that were available. So if you purchased a piece of property within the game and you have a house there, that's there all the time, whether you log into the game or not. And once all the plots are gone, all the plots are gone. And there's like nobody can get more of the plots. So your plot becomes increasingly more valuable as more people want these plots, right? And so either you are in this for the vanity because you want to have this plot and you want other people to see, look how great this guy's plot is, or you have a target, like an exit point, where if your plot becomes X amount of valuable, you're willing to sell it to someone else who also thinks that it's that valuable and is willing to pay you for it. And
Sure.
you know, like that's where we are currently within the NFT space.
But, you know, you need dollars to get started in any of this stuff.
You need dollars to get started in anything,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah. Is that going to remain true? Ain't that the question? That's the one, isn't
question.
it? What happens when one Satoshi costs $1? We're all going to feel very silly for not having some Bitcoin here.
It's true.
Do you guys know what a Satoshi is?
Yes. It is the smallest unit of a Bitcoin.
It is 0.000000001 Bitcoin.
Huh.
What if each of those was $1
What if? That means Bitcoin is like $10 million
per Bitcoin?
per.
That's what people mean when they say stack sats.
Yeah.
They're talking about you can be a Satoshi millionaire.
Which is enough to take you to retirement very comfortably, in my opinion. I mean, I haven't seen the future, but hell.
I have a question.
If you miss this boat, it's your own fault
Okay.
at this point. I've had so many people laugh at me. I've had so many people from years ago. You know, Bitcoin was sub $1,000. I was telling everybody to buy it. I felt like I had seen the future.
Yeah,
Rob and Jimmy are
And
laughing at us right now.
Everyone laughed at me.
it's true.
Everyone did.
You said you have a question, Rob?
I have a question.
Go on.
So I know that I'm like basically shitting on this Bored Ape shit. And let me kind of, I guess, narrow this down here. I think that there certainly is use for what we're talking about. I think that verifying ownership of physical property on the blockchain makes a lot of sense. I think that having a digitally stored deed for a house, for example, makes sense. But I know that this is hyperbole, but the year is 1503. I'm Leonardo da Vinci. I just painted a picture of a woman. It's a good painting. The year is 2021. It is on display in France, in the Louvre. Everyone comes across the globe to see this. The year is 2528. I'm at the Met.
The metaverse.
The metaverse. Bored Ape number 2037 is on display. Is this possible? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
This is bullshit. No. Bored Ape number 2037 sold for $2.3 million. There's no fucking way 500 years from now people are going to see this on display in a museum.
It is. That's a little cheap for one you to see on display. Probably.
Yeah.
There's no way. Zero chance.
Why?
It's just not going to happen.
We won't be alive to know.
We'll probably have better things to do.
It's true.
All right. So you keep dwelling on the Bored Ape Yacht Club. So I already mentioned that there's 10,000 of them total, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to list just 21 celebrities who have aped in. They've purchased Bored Apes.
They're displaying them. I don't trust celebrities.
It doesn't matter if you trust them or not. They're displaying them as their Twitter profile picture.
Tax the rich.
So Jimmy Fallon, Post Malone, Steph Curry, Logan Paul, Marshmello, Shaquille O'Neal, Sean Yu, Steve Aoki. Steve Aoki has 3. Mark Cuban, Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park.
I know who Mike Shinoda is.
LaMelo Ball, he has 2. The Chainsmokers, Gary V, FaZe Banks, Timbaland, Des Bryant, Lil Baby, KSI, Rich the Kid, Bass Jackers. I don't know who that is.
Clout.
Future. All right, so we'll stop there. So let's say your favorite person in the whole wide world, Kanye West, has a Bored Ape. He doesn't, but let's say he does. And if every person who has a Bored Ape only had one, that means that there's a maximum of 9,999 other people who could have one of these things besides your favorite person in the world, Kanye West. And it's this who's who of cool people. And it may be the only way that you ever have, because of your limited connections or your limited whatever else, for you to be able to connect in a real way with your favorite person, because now you are a part of the same elite exclusive club as they are. And you can go to these events that they're going to go to and brush elbows with celebrities. And like it.
Do you know anyone who owns one?
I do.
I do too. My friend who owns one, he's lost 60 grand on it so far.
That's a ringing endorsement.
So first off, let's go through the list. So
and that's vanity. I get it, but that's what this is.
I understand, but the people in that list that you mentioned that I even kind of trust with what they're doing,
like Future,
is Shaquille O'Neal, Mark Cuban. There's someone else in there. Steve Aoki, maybe, probably not.
No.
Who else is in there? There's someone smart towards the end.
Future?
No. Future has a fucking song called Zanny Family. Like, fuck off.
Is it KSI?
No.
Des Bryant?
No.
Let me explain.
Anyways.
Oh, it's Timbaland.
It's Timbaland. Yes, thank you. I trust Timbaland.
I do too.
Motherfucker is smart as shit.
Yo. The apes, right? You can own one. Anyone can own one. You know, if you have enough money.
Right.
They're not that expensive. I mean, maybe like decent one is like $250,000, right? But I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing y'all are missing though.
We're poor.
Here's the thing.
And if you keep talking this way, you're going to remain poor.
No, here's the thing. There is a way to. There's a reason this is a very good thing. Number one, none of them are copyrighted, and there's a lot of eyes on them. It's cool as fuck, right? Everybody wants one.
No, it's
right?
not. It's the stupidest shit I've ever seen.
But there is a very dedicated group of people who really like them and are willing to pay tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for them.
Do you think Banksy is cool?
I do think Banksy is cool.
Here's the thing.
It's the same shit.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Banksy's 100% into NFTs.
He probably is, but that's
cool
besides
shit.
the point.
No, it's the same thing. You
No,
can go
it's
to
not.
You can go to New York City right now, and in alleyways throughout the city, you'll see fucking larger than life Bored Apes painted everywhere. But go on, Will. I'm sorry.
Well, no,
Where did they get that?
Yo,
they don't own that shit. How dare they?
they don't. This is the point I'm trying to make: is that these things are not copyrighted or trademarked, or the only thing that governs them is the blockchain,
Right.
and they don't have cops. So you could go and make posters with Bored Apes on them, sell them for $25 a piece. This is a way that you can get rich off of this ecosystem without actively participating in it.
I'm really sad Cory's not here because we'd have a 3-on-2 situation going on. But
What, you think I'm wrong?
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying I'd like to have one additional person on my side so I didn't feel like a fucking psychopath.
But I'm advocating for you in that I do think that the hysteria is unjustified. I think the primary utility of NFTs like Bored Apes Yacht Club and, NBA Top Shots, things of this nature, is for transmitting value, which is useful primarily in the way that people use them now as a game. It's a game.
Everything's a game.
It's like it's gambling remix. And in some cases, it's just people sending money from one place to another through a medium that is more convenient for them.
So I know I'm cycling back to what we were just talking about a minute ago, but you had mentioned, hey, what if Kanye had a Bored Ape? Like, wouldn't you want to be involved with that? And it reminds me of a question that was going on out on Twitter like a number of months ago. And it was, I think, wording-wise, it was like, would you rather have $1 million or go out to lunch with Jay-Z? Do you guys remember this?
$1 million.
Have you seen this?
I do. Yeah.
$1 million?
You asked me this question.
$1 million.
All right.
$1 million
So-
every day.
Yeah.
I want you to know that I would absolutely punch Kanye in the face for $1 million.
All right, but hang on. Let me ask you another question. If you had $10 billion, all right, and you could spend $1 million to hang out with Kanye for a day, would you do that? If you had $10 billion, $1 million is like ass wipe money.
For 0.001% of my net worth, would I do that? Yes.
Okay, that's what we're talking about. The people who are spending $1 million on NFTs, that's $1 million US dollars, but they have the Ether, Bitcoin, crypto equivalent of hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're not just buying it for the vanity. That's part of it, but it's also because they are influencers within the space. They're market makers. They are people who are defining what is valuable within the NFT space and what's not.
They're at the top of the pyramid.
That's what the fine art world is. Like, Andy Warhol is popular because rich people decided that he was popular. It's not because his art is just this breathtaking, wonderful, amazing, life-changing thing. And if you think it is, it's because you've read one too many like art snobs' opinions about it.
Sure.
It's not because it actually made you feel movement in your soul.
For the record, I think a lot of fine art, especially like the postmodern, what's it called? Like, just all the bullshit where people like take a brush and just throw that shit at the fucking canvas.
What do you think about it?
I think it's fucking stupid.
Okay.
the
Does
same
the
page.
fact that you think it's fucking stupid change the fact that somebody paid somebody else millions of dollars for it?
No, but I was going through the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, whatever
Yeah.
it is, the MoMA.
SF MoMA.
Yeah. there is a lot of cool stuff in there. But we had this this
It's
artist.
subjective though. It's cool to you, may not be cool to somebody else.
I think it'd be. I think I'm a pretty normal guy. I think a lot of normal people would go into this place and be like, "Wow, this is pretty cool."
Rob's opinions are objective.
No, that's not true. No
So-
one.
We go into the 5th floor, however many floors there were, and there was an artist showpiece that was this. It showed this woman's art through her life. I can't remember her name. Sorry, but in the towards the beginning, she was doing regular. I guess I don't know, regular paintings of people, paintings of places, everything like that. But towards the end of this exhibit, as it was going on, later in her life, it just devolved into these fucking crazy brush strokes, and that she called Purple River.
Right.
And it was just
I remember this
a
one.
splotch of brown and some purple streaks and just dots of red. And I was looking at it trying to find something in this hellscape, and I could find nothing. I could see no difference between me doing this and what she did. And it didn't make sense.
But the thing is, you didn't do it.
And
But I fucking could.
the other thing is,
But you didn't.
And if the right person says, "That's great, you did it, this is fine art," then I'd be a millionaire too.
But you didn't. You
Yo.
didn't do that.
But I absolutely could.
But you did it.
The fact that you're saying this right now, the reason that what's the guy that sold the really, really expensive, the guy that does one painting or one digital art a day, Beeple. So the reason that Beeple's art is so valuable is because number one, it's pretty good objectively.
Pretty good. Yeah.
But number two, he was early in shaping this space, right? So he's early in creating a lot of the hysteria, as Will said, around the space. And so he's considered a pioneer, and people want to have a piece of history. People are trying to become the owners of the earliest parts of the history books of this virtual meta universe that we're getting into these days.
Abstract expressionism is what it's called.
Yeah, it looks like something my 5-year-old daughter did.
Looks like shit.
let's see. All right. Let me explain how that works to you. An artist doing some work like that very often, right, is not thinking about the aesthetic of it, right? Abstract expressionism came about as kind of a reaction to, paintings where people were talking about, oh, this guy's got skills, It became it is a medium where the art is really the beholder's reaction to it, right? That was the whole idea of it. You'll see a lot of the same things from the same era that are just basically, smudgy rectangles, right? But you look at something like that, you look at it long enough, you start reacting to it, and that's really kind of the product, right? So where you saw like 3 striped lines, right, 3 purple lines and some dots and stuff, and thought to yourself, oh, I could do that, and you probably could. But what did it just do? Without you even noticing, was inspire you, was give you confidence in your own ability to reproduce something of that value, right?
I don't think that we need people inspiring other people to do worthless bullshit.
Like art?
Like whatever the fuck I just watched was on my phone.
I mean, it had quite an effect on you. I would say
Yeah, I think
it's a good piece of
stupid.
art if it got you riled up.
All right, so
It's done well.
let's circle back to Jimmy's conversation about Lowe's selling things that he needs. Okay? So I would argue that we need to be able to feed ourselves, and we need to be able to shelter ourselves, and we need to be able to protect ourselves. And there's not much else we need to survive. Would you guys agree with that?
Right. You're right.
Okay.
I like to have extra of that.
I agree, and most of us would, but I'm talking about
Firearms.
core human needs.
Yeah.
That's part of protecting yourself.
Hell yeah.
So being able to nourish your body, protect yourself, and shelter yourself from the elements in Mother Nature are really the only things that we need.
Or the enemy.
Everything past that is stuff that we want, stuff that enhances our lives and things like that. And so the Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi, do you guys know how much that sold for at auction?
No.
I'm gonna guess 40 mil.
$40 million.
$40 million? No.
I'm gonna guess that.
For one of the last 20 or so Da Vinci paintings that remain on this earth.
That's my guess.
I'm gonna guess like 20 million.
I would say like 270, 280.
$450,300,000, almost $500 million.
That is fat.
That's a lot.
Okay.
Get wrecked.
So
That's so much money.
So much money.
That's
There-
like $500 million.
Yeah.
there's a Giga Yacht, which is a 405-foot long pleasure yacht kitted out with innumerable luxuries, from a movie theater and a helipad to 18 guest rooms and suites.
Wait, that's just sold on eBay?
He asked for a half price bid with the understanding the actual price would be twice that, due to eBay's inability to process bids above $99,999,999. So the winning bid was $168 million on eBay.
Holy shit.
Wait, what was that for?
That was for
A
a
super
Giga
yacht.
yacht, a 405
Oh, a
foot
yacht.
yacht.
Nice. It's
A
a big yacht.
a blue diamond, an Oppenheimer blue diamond, $48,600,000. A 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO Berlinetta, $48 million.
Now,
Hey, Jimmy.
here, let me just diamonds. Why does that diamond have the value it does? Explain that to me.
Because people think it's rare.
Right.
People assign value to it.
Here's the thing.
The De Beers Corporation.
No.
Yes.
Diamonds are one of the oldest memes in the world.
Exactly.
The oldest memes. Like
Because of the De Beers Corporation.
like
Yes.
sex is like one of the only memes older than diamonds. And fire. Fire is a really huge meme.
Dank meme.
And yeah, anybody can participate in it, but people still pay
A
tons of money for
1.25
lots of it.
1.25 acre plot of land in Hong Kong sold for $935 million.
Land.
1.25 acres.
It's another very old meme. How long have we been assigning value to stuff like? See what I'm saying? The stuff that's old, the old memes are worth a lot.
They are.
So if you can get one of the new memes now and hold it till it's old,
Boom.
Hey, Jimmy.
What's up, Rob?
Would you rather have 3.5 giga yachts or one painting?
Probably gonna take the yachts.
Just wondering.
Why?
would you really?
Are you shitting me? Yes.
What would you do with 3 Giga yachts?
I'll fucking rent them out.
To who?
People
Jeff
that would buy them.
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff can afford his own Giga yacht.
Yeah, Jeff could get like 10 of them.
That's true.
Probably more.
You gonna open a Giga yacht Airbnb?
Sure.
Here's the thing. If you need 3 giga yachts, that's what you should choose.
I agree.
But if you have that much money, you probably don't need any more gigawatts than you have already. And in that case, you're just looking for places to just put money.
Yep.
And leave it. Painting is a very convenient way to do that. And keep it in your living room where you can, use your guns if you have them to defend it if necessary.
So buying that painting is just storing value, just like buying an NFT is storing value.
Exactly.
Correct. I'm glad we came full circle on this.
I'm glad. I think it's stupid as fuck both ways.
Well, what about,
have fun being poor?
I will. Thank you.
I mean, value is a very strange thing, right? Back in the day, and I mean hundreds of years ago, the way people regarded value was almost entirely based on utility. Like, hey, do you got any bear fat?
How many horses do you own?
Yeah, how many horses do you,
How-
shit like that.
How many daughters do you have to sell me so that I can marry off my sons?
But
So-
those have use.
Well,
I can ride a horse.
and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Robbo, is that back then, the way transactions occurred was based almost entirely on their utility. These days, we live in suburban sprawl.
We live in
We
a
have everything we need.
superfluous society. We don't need those
Oh,
things.
okay. So my issue is with society, not with NFTs. I
Correct.
see. Okay. All right.
I
Now
would
we're
say-
on, now we're on the same page.
I would say it's a practical limitation of our modern system.
So okay. So are you guys in this because like you like think this is actually cool, or are you trying to like make money and you like care about the value of this? Like actually,
Both, but a little column A, little column B.
but mostly the money, right?
I look at my investments in NFTs I consider them more speculative investments. And I think the word speculative is very, very important, because if you read The Intelligent Investor, this would not qualify as an investment under the terms of that book, because it does not have a reasonable expectation of a conservative return on my money. I could either receive outsized gains or outsized losses, and not much opportunity to be in between based on how long I'm going to be in the space. But I'm in a position in my life where I have conservative investments that I feel like are going to allow me to retire when I want to retire and provide for my family the type of life I want to provide for them, regardless of whether I lose all of my money in NFTs. All of the money that I've invested in NFTs, I could lose that and not negatively impact myself or my family. But I think that I'm early enough in this space, and I have enough belief in the projects that I'm investing in, that I believe there could be outsized gains, and I believe that it could transform the standard of our living from very, very comfortable where we are now to the beginnings of real wealth.
Would you agree that Leonardo's painting is much more or much less of a gamble than buying an NFT?
Yes.
In the same way that investing in a low yield savings account is safer than investing in the stock market, sure.
Or yield farms.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it a safer investment? Yes, but that's only because more of the masses have been convinced of the value of Leonardo da Vinci's painting than have been convinced of the value of NFTs. So if you wait until you've reached critical mass on the understanding of what something is, like what something's value is, then you're too late to become ultra rich off of it.
Yeah, so I guess very many poor people hardly ever become rich people because they didn't take a risk.
Right.
Okay.
And very many people become poor because they don't take smart risks, or because they take too many risks, or because they don't properly qualify everything that they're trying to do. And I am sitting here telling you that I could absolutely be wrong, and 3 years from now I could have egg on my face because some quantum computer that the Chinese built has overthrown all of the blockchains, and like everybody's lost all of their investments, and NFTs are gone, and you know the world is laughing at me, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
But
Just get out before then.
yeah, it's easy to say, but I mean,
It could happen. I mean, here's the thing. So, one of those computers would need something like 2,500 qubits, right, of quantum processing power to crack SHA-256 reliably and in a timely fashion, right? That is so far beyond where we are. We are decades from that. I mean, if you had our best supercomputer, let's say you wanted to crack the Bitcoin chain, right? Say you wanted to crack my private key. If you had the most powerful computer in existence right now and you ran it from the beginning of time, since the Big Bang to now, statistically, it is very unlikely that it will have cracked it yet. That is how secure SHA-256 is when it's being mined at, 180 exahash. Like, it is absurdly secure. That is why Bitcoin is $40-some thousand. It's because it's one of the largest, computer networks on the face of the earth, if not the largest. And it has a 100% uptime. It's been up. It has never gone down. It has never stopped.
So But one of my big problems with crypto in general is the like climate impacts on crypto.
I agree.
Or like from crypto. And it's not a sustainable way to store value.
Yeah, sure. Especially if they run off fossil fuels.
Right.
There is a Bitcoin mine, not even, where are we at?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of articles about the ones around here.
So I visited one, the one at Forks of the River Industrial Park. It's run by a company called Bitmain. They're the ones who make most of the miners in existence, right? And they rented an old Panasonic building. It's where they used to make Panasonic batteries. It was the most efficient factory for manufacturing Panasonic things in the company.
Right.
And Bitmain, they buy hydropower from TVA, wholesale. And that's what the mine runs on. It's like 100 megawatts. It's pretty amazing. So, and I'll tell you, other places that Bitmain has mines, all their largest mines, almost all of them run off hydropower. Not because out of some sense of, we have to save the environment. It's because that is what yields them the most profit. So I would argue that, the mining of Bitcoin, is naturally incentivized to use renewable sources of power because they make more money.
And I think that that's a very, very politically popular rebuttal to the cryptocurrency and things like that. But it's popular, and I believe that you've been manipulated to use that as a response by politicians who are anti-crypto.
It's very likely. I'm just trying to spark conversation.
But like, we could pick something to focus on and bulldog, and just like really get ultra aggressive about trying to convince people about why it's bad.
Sure.
Like, in this room right now, how many lithium ion batteries are there? I've got a phone in my pocket. We got 2 laptops, phone. There's a wireless drill over here that has a lithium ion battery.
What are we talking about? Should we feel bad for this?
Lithium ion batteries.
Josh
Do you know
is
how
going
those are?
somewhere with this.
Do you know how those are mined?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the mines that?
No, I haven't.
They're pretty much mined by slaves in Africa.
Well, it's not just about who's mining it. Pull up a picture of the mines that lithium ion batteries are. The materials for lithium ion batteries are built out of.
So wait, are we talking about feeling guilty?
That's what Jimmy was saying is the main reason for not wanting to support crypto is because of how the impact that it has on the environment.
Huh. Well.
So, Jimmy, show that picture to Robert and Will. Do you guys think that this is good for the environment if we're doing this all over the planet? Do you think that's sustainable long term?
No.
Like, do you think that giant hole was in the earth 100, 200, 300 years ago?
No.
Definitely not.
But there were holes in the earth.
Right, but like that?
Not like that.
All right. How little time has it taken to have a ton of those?
Not very much
long.
time in the grand scheme of things.
It's quick.
Right.
It's disrupting a lot of ecosystems.
So how much longer do you think the earth can sustain that kind of thing?
Not very long.
we don't know.
Why don't we just get rid of electricity?
Okay. So, first off, you're just straight up like going into like crazy, you're attacking the wrong thing at this point. I don't know the actual English term for this as far as arguments go, but you're doing the wrong thing at this point because people need electricity and people need communication across the globe. And you need you need lithium ion batteries to power phones currently. There's no other technology that can do anything else.
But what if I told you that we have to decide either we're going to continue to communicate the way we are now using lithium ion batteries and things like that, and if we do that, the planet's going to end in 100 years or 200 years or whatever. Or we can find another way.
I mean, people would probably find another way, but that's kind of my point anyways, as far as the climate change stuff goes. Like, we don't need Bitcoin to exist in the current state of the world.
We don't need diamonds.
But we need phones.
We don't need diamonds.
You were talking about lithium ion batteries.
But you could do the same Google search on diamond mines and it's the same thing.
Okay, but your argument was about lithium ion batteries, so I'm talking about lithium ion batteries.
Okay.
Do we not need those to exist in the current world?
No.
How?
We don't need them to exist. We don't need them to survive.
We didn't need them.
Hey, how do you do your job?
I use a phone
Okay.
a lot.
So if you couldn't use a phone anymore, could you do your job?
No.
Okay.
But that wouldn't
But
bother
could he
me.
survive?
Easily.
Not in the same state that you are in at the moment. If Bitcoin went away today,
But how did we get to this point? The world evolved, right?
okay.
And what I'm telling you is the world is evolving in front of you. You're seeing it.
Usually that means things get better. I don't
Quality
know.
of life is going to be better. And there's a give and take, right? So some things get better and some things arguably don't, right? Think about just how things are different today from like the family hierarchy and the way families spend time together and things like that now versus 50 years ago or 100 years ago or something like that.
Well, here's the thing. So think about it like this. Yes, consumerism and all these things, they're going to keep putting giant holes in the ground. They're going to keep burning the rainforest down, right? That is not going to stop. Now,
Agreed.
you know, what we were talking about earlier, you know, the idea that we have to decide whether or not we're going to do that or not. That's just, I mean, there's no decision that's going to get made. Nobody's going to decide that.
Correct.
Because that way of doing things, right, is people's livelihood. That people, you know, pulling lithium out of the ground is somebody's job.
Mining Bitcoin is somebody's job.
So is coal mining.
And here and what that creates,
That's going away.
what that creates is an emergency, right? It is an like people are pulling that stuff out of the ground like it's an emergency because it is. And it's not going to stop. It's going to keep going. And it doesn't matter whether or not, you know, we can sustain it. I would say obviously we cannot, right? And I think we see the effects of that in a frighteningly small amount of time, probably in our lifetimes. And, you know, plenty of people could argue that we're seeing the effects of it now. And I think the context to talk about it in isn't so much like survive, like, you know, should we feel bad about it or whatever. It's just a very practical reality that is going to be such a big problem eventually that, you know, the average person thinks, well, what's the difference? I'm a drop in the bucket. That's why no decision gets made.
It's true.
I know this goes into controversial, rampant liberalism, but we are seeing those effects now. If you look at, you know, the people in Kentucky and Illinois, was that a week ago, where a tornado just leveled a factory.
And there
in
were sirens going off.
fucking December.
And the people there asked to go home.
Right.
And they said if you
And
go home,
Amazon
you're probably
said,
going to
"Go
get
fuck
fired.
yourself."
Yeah.
That's a problem.
They're making candles like it's an emergency,
Right.
and it's not.
It's not.
Not an Amazon factory. That was a candle factory.
It was owned by Amazon.
They're absolutely.
They were
it
Amazon
absolutely was
personnel.
an Amazon factory.
Those are Amazon employees?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I thought that was an Onion article.
There was an Amazon driver.
It sounds like an Onion article.
They have the
No, I knew that it wasn't an Onion article that people asked to go home and they were told they would be fired if they went home. But I also knew that it was a candle factory. I did not know that Amazon actually had involvement. I thought the Amazon part of it was facetious.
as I understand it, it was a Amazon owned facility, and there were Amazon employees there. But I know it was called something else. But yeah, that place got razed. I mean, 8 people died. That's nutty.
It's called the Mayfield Consumer Products Candle Factory. Are you guys sure you didn't read the headline for an Onion article and take it as fact?
No, there was. You're talking about in Kentucky, right? That's
Yeah.
in Kentucky. No,
Mayfield.
There's a Southern Illinois. There's an Amazon either factory or fulfillment center or something.
Okay, I didn't read anything about people in Illinois dying. Like the stuff that I read about people asking to go home and being told they were going to be fired was from the candle factory, which I don't actually think has anything to do
I thought that place was
with
owned
Amazon.
by Amazon.
I don't think so.
I don't think that particular one does, but I believe, unless the fake news media has misled me.
I think the fake news media did mislead you because
There's not a place in Southern Illinois where a guy died?
Southern Illinois, Amazon factory. Kentucky, candle factory.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said Southern Illinois.
Ah.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying it was a candle factory owned by Amazon in Kentucky, and I was very confused.
That's what
No.
Will said.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Fake news misled you as well.
Well, here's the thing. Think about how easily a person would believe that it's an Amazon thing.
Correct. Very easily.
And why is that? Because you never hear anything about how nice it is to work there.
Right.
You do
Right?
all the time. That's the issue.
Do
You
you?
have fucking Shaquille O'Neal being a spokesperson for Amazon talking about how good it is to work there.
That did happen.
That is the issue.
You said you trusted Shaquille O'Neal because he bought an NFT.
Well, fuck that guy now.
All right.
That tall piece of shit.
So this is Edwardsville, Illinois. The title of the article is Amazon fires employees who didn't clock out after getting buried in rubble.
Not what I'm talking about.
This is from theonion.com.
Not what I'm talking about.
No.
There is actually, that actually happened, but without the firing employees without clocking out thing.
Okay.
No,
I forgot what the point of this
was.
was.
A person died there. Climate change is what I'm talking about. And environmental issues with what is happening in the world currently.
Well, here's the thing. I thought the original thing was, should we feel bad about inflating the hell out of our carbon footprint, right? I would say no, because
it's somebody else.
it's like quitting smoking on your deathbed. It's basically already happened.
Right.
I disagree. I think that I don't think it's too late at all. I think that we are saying that it's too late as a means to get out of feeling guilty about it. I think that it's a coping mechanism for what is currently happening with the world and saying, oh, well, it's too late anyways. Like, the world's going to die anyways. Let's just add to it. Who gives a shit? That's not true.
I think you're picking a hill to virtue signal from for the things that you want to feel empowered by, but you're not doing anything to affect real change.
What am I going to do? Go on the internet and say, fuck crypto. You shouldn't do anything with crypto.
No, instead
How
you're going to
dare
sit
you?
on our podcast and do that.
Well, I actually am going on the internet and saying, hey, fuck crypto, and you shouldn't do that. For the record, I think that this should change. I'm not saying that people shouldn't buy crypto. I'm not saying that, like, we shouldn't be involved with this, but I absolutely think that we should do something about it. I just am not smart enough to figure out something to do with it, whether that's with renewable resources or nuclear power or just finding a more efficient way to run the system so that it doesn't use so much power.
So hold on. My whole thing is that wealthy people, at the end of the day, control this. They control climate change. They control our entire world. And they have very little incentive to change their habits because they are very much profiting off of all these fossil fuels and all this energy that's being made to make these things. And they are not incentivized to do otherwise.
You're absolutely correct. And I think both of you are, in your own ways, coming around and making at least my point, and I would think maybe Will's point as well. So if you think about the concept of cryptocurrency being decentralized, and as Will said several times on the podcast, only governed by the blockchain itself, and there are no police on the blockchain, right? There's no way to fake it or anything like that. So this transference of wealth from one medium to another is creating tons and tons and tons of new millionaires and multimillionaires and potentially billionaires through crypto, right? And when you think about, like, in a traditional world, like in the physical world, if I as an American want to start a small business and grow it to the point where I'm truly disrupting Amazon, or I'm truly disrupting Walmart or whoever, the chances of me succeeding, the chances that Amazon would get to where they got to are slim to none. It's a once in a generation type thing. It doesn't happen. And so trying to, like, be a bleeding heart with a cause who's going to build a business that's going to overthrow Amazon, and you're going to use that wealth and power to save the world. Like, at what point do you have enough wealth to do that, and how did you get that much wealth, right? I think the idea of where cryptocurrencies came from and how they came to be didn't really consider, and maybe they did, but I don't know that the consideration was there in the beginning for how much compute power would be necessary to generate 18 million gigaflop worth, like whatever. How many X flops did you say?
180
X hash?
180 exahash
180 X hash.
secures the Bitcoin blockchain.
That's a lot of X hash. You guys look that up. Google it.
It is a lot.
So I don't think they considered how much compute power would be necessary for that, right? And there, to your point, Rob, the answer isn't end cryptocurrency. It's find a way to make it carbon neutral or carbon positive. Find a way to make it less environmentally negatively impactful, but still maintain the value of what it represents and what it is to the world. And so just one of the most basic ways that they've talked about doing that is moving from proof of work to proof of stake. And that's some of what Will was talking about earlier, where it's not so much about how much compute power are you contributing to the network, but how much of this cryptocurrency do you have and how are you staking it? And anyway, there are ways that you can make the transactions happen on the blockchain without necessarily having those transactions significantly impact the environmental part of it or the energy use part of it.
So I think the world is doomed.
Yeah.
Because
you're a doomer.
I think the world is doomed, and the world is inevitably going to collapse.
Okay.
Because
I agree with that.
rich people will always like it. When rich people get to the point where they genuinely want to help people and they want to spend all their wealth to help people and make the world better, they're not going to be that rich person anymore.
Yeah, why would they do that?
And there's always going to be another rich person to replace them that is stealing from other people. So Amazon, for example, they create companies within themselves like Amazon Basics, right? So they create these Amazon Basics products where they sell everything, right?
Sure.
So they are pushing out all of the people below them because they are undercutting them, whether they're making a profit or not.
Yeah,
So there's no competition.
They dominate every market they enter.
Right.
Just
and,
about.
And that's
except
any
tablets.
and that's any large company.
Yeah.
Like,
When you're ahead, get more ahead.
right.
You know, strategically, that's what they're doing.
Capitalism is going to inevitably doom the world.
Maybe.
All right, I'm not quite on that level yet, but
I would say it's a mathematical certainty,
Right. It is mathematical certainty.
assuming it follows the curve it's on.
I'm totally bought into capitalism. I work a job where I'm selling things to people, and I always want to have like the newest technology. So like I'm definitely not helping the situation. So it's
You feel bad about it?
frequently.
Oh, come on. Really?
I know I can't help the situation like in a meaningful way
Yeah.
because there's always going to be a rich person that controls everything.
You feel powerless to change anything.
I absolutely do.
And that's okay.
That's why you'll never lead.
Well, I don't know.
Wow.
No, I mean,
Lead change. Lead a revolution.
Fuck that.
yo, I mean,
Most people want to lead revolutions just are in it for themselves.
you know, or they drive
Based on what? Please expand on that thought.
Elon Musk. Okay.
Okay.
He wants to create an electric car to make it so people don't have to buy gas, right?
No. I'm sorry.
Well,
Go ahead.
No. Okay. Well, why does Elon Musk want to make an electric car? Well, why did he make the electric car?
to make money.
No.
No.
He hates.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll tell you why.
Tesla was a pyramid scheme. I'm just kidding.
Every one of here's
I
what
was
he's,
rambling.
I'll explain what Elon's plan is.
Okay.
Every one of the cars that he sells has sensors all over them.
Right.
You know, absolutely. And they record everything they do.
So it's like a Google situation.
Well, what data are they getting from those vehicles? They're getting, you know, weight distribution data. They're getting data from the suspension. They're getting data from traffic conditions.
Right.
They're getting data about the physical dimensions of the road. They're getting data on regional driving patterns. They, times of the day, all that stuff, all that data is what is valuable.
Right.
And he will use what he's going to do with that data. I think will, that's the prestige, as it were, to take a Christopher Nolan angle, right? Like, batteries, cars, and then, however they end up using the data they mine on the entire road network of the United States, right? Like I think it'll be for autonomous logistics, like trucks. I think that is the only way we escape the reign of truck drivers in this world.
There it is.
There it is. Will has a vendetta against truck drivers.
It's a practical reality. So does Elon. I'm here to tell you.
I don't think that Elon is in any way disinterested in making money, and I don't think that he decided to do Tesla just out of the goodness of his heart. I think
Tesla started as a scam.
No.
So hold on. The first Tesla vehicle that he put on a showcase was a Mercedes C-Class that he had magnetic panels that he put on it, and then had a very unstable battery in it that he kept having to pour water in so it wouldn't blow up.
Yeah.
Right. And he also had the unbreakable Cybertruck glass that he broke, and like
it's all a scam.
He's showing concepts before it becomes a reality. It's not a scam now.
It is a scam now because he silences all the people that have Tesla problems.
No.
Yo.
So there is a huge known issue with Teslas where some of the suspension parts break and the front right wheel just completely dislocates from the vehicle. And there's this guy that created this database of all the people that have had this issue, and
Really?
it is massive. But Tesla has silenced all of it.
All right. Well, to get back to what I was trying to say, Elon Musk was already at a point before he started Tesla where he had no need for more money.
He didn't start Tesla. I'm sorry. I have a vendetta against Elon.
You clearly do. He was a big part of the founding of Tesla. He may not have been the founder, but he put Tesla on the map. So before he got involved in that, he did not have a need for money because he had sold his first business that he founded with his brother to Compaq and made $22 million off that.
That was like 2-zip.
Yeah, Zip2, I think.
Zip2.
And then he founded PayPal.
He didn't found PayPal.
That is true.
I'm sorry.
He co-founded PayPal.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
He did not.
He did not co-found PayPal. I'm sorry, Josh.
I thought he did. Or he was like a big early investor. I don't know.
He was a big early investor, and he was an early head honcho, I would say. But by no means a founder or co-founder.
I mean,
Honcho.
He framed himself as a founder.
what was the name of the guy who founded Napster?
I can't remember.
You talking about Sean Parker?
Sean Parker.
I used to work with that guy.
Sean Parker. That guy, I mean, I would say he's a, similar contributor to, say, Facebook, right?
Right.
It doesn't mean he didn't make a ton of money.
It's true.
You're just talking about whether or not he, deserves the title,
Sure.
right?
I don't remember the exact logistics of Elon framing himself as the founder of PayPal.
Like like Peter Thiel or however you pronounce his last name is like the main guy from PayPal, and he's involved in all sorts of angel investments and things like that.
Right.
But Elon Musk was a huge part of PayPal from the very, very beginning, and he made well over $1 billion when PayPal was sold to eBay.
Nice.
Right.
So he's a co-founder.
So he founded XCOM, which was a failure version of PayPal. PayPal bought XCOM, So therefore, they bought Elon Musk into the company.
Nice.
And then Elon, I can't remember the exact story. So I'm getting all this information that I know from TrueAnon,
Whoa.
who did a like 4 or 5 episode deep dive on this, and it is crazy.
All right. Well, I want this to be on tape because I want us to be able to refer back to it. Okay.
Okay.
So prior to us recording the first episode of the Appleboys podcast, I talked to Cory about wanting to start a podcast probably a year and a half ago,
Sure.
before I mentioned it to either Rob or Jimmy, right? And then one night I was drinking and I felt like I had a stroke of brilliance with the name because we go to Applebee's a lot. Saturdays are for the boys. Came up with the Appleboys. Sounded great, right? And then I formed an LLC and I built a website and I created a logo and things like that. But the Appleboys podcast would not be the Appleboys podcast without the Appleboys. So despite all the things that I did before we were actually recording our first episode, I consider Cory, Rob, and Jimmy my co-founders for the Appleboys podcast. But you could make a competitive podcast, or TrueAnon could do an expose on us. And they could say whenever we sell our company for $1 billion that you guys were barely involved. And that's not a fair assessment just because you weren't the ones who had the original idea.
But that doesn't change how much, whoever got paid. Right? Isn't that what matters? I mean, Tesla is where he is because he played his cards well. He got paid through, funny ways. But he got paid, and he used his money to make decisions. And now Tesla's highest valued car company in the world. Right?
At the end of the day, if you're in an Elon Musk position where you're Time Man of the Year and you have whatever his net worth is and whatever Tesla stock is at, that did not happen by accident.
Correct.
So there is a series of decisions that went into that, and whether you're founder, co-founder, bought out by a different company, he got there, and it's not by some aligning of the planets that this happened. I mean, he made a series of decisions that were intelligent decisions to get there. Now, intelligent is not the same as ethical, but
he's playing a game.
And he's playing it well.
He's playing it well.
Like
Even Grimes.
he got there.
Grimes wrote a song about this. She said, in this song, some of the lyrics are like, she dated the best, the finest gamer. The best
Grimes
gamer
is
ever.
Elon's wife, by the way.
Was,
Yeah.
They broke up.
Yep. Hey, can you pronounce his son's name?
No. That you can't.
There is a pronunciation for it, but I can't remember what it is.
Also, I love Grimes. I don't know if you've seen her TikTok.
Grimes is great.
She's incredible.
When you said see her I did not think you were going TikTok.
Yeah.
Grimes is canceled.
Yo.
Why?
No. Never.
Why?
Clout digger.
It's a bad word.
It's true.
She is a lot like Elon. I see why they got along.
Yes.
Because these are not people who are thinking what decisions should I... These are not people that feel guilt about sucking lithium out of the ground. They're just trying to think of solutions to problems as they come up as fast as they can. That's all they are,
So I have a thing to add about Elon Musk and PayPal. Because I looked it up. And so Elon took over as CEO of PayPal in April of 2000. And he was
Nice.
fired in October of 2000 for mismanagement of funds.
Sounds like Steve.
Peter Thiel took over as CEO, and the company merged and rechristened as PayPal from Confinity. So Confinity was the original company, who was co-founded by Peter Thiel, and so Confinity bought XCOM, which is Elon Musk failed PayPal version. So Peter Thiel took over right after Elon was fired. Elon still owned a bunch of the stock from it, so that's how Elon made a bunch of money. Sick.
Sounds like he co-founded PayPal.
Well played.
In what fucking way?
He was fired for mismanagement of money and then had a bunch of stock still.
Nice.
Before it was PayPal.
Boom. Well done.
That's a completely different company. That's like if like the fucking Android people were like, yeah, I co-founded Google.
Hey, do me a favor. Google Peter Thiel net worth.
What is this going to add to this conversation?
See,
Yeah, what like it's not a fucking scoreboard, Josh.
Everything's a scoreboard in the game.
except morality.
It's
And yet-
$3.4 billion.
And yet people talk about the morality of these people constantly.
Now
Don't-
Google.
No,
Elon
don't
Musk
don't
net
do
worth.
that. Don't.
I'm not going to do that
I'll give you a hint. It's a lot more than that.
Well,
It's
because he's a con man.
266 billion.
He framed himself as the founder of PayPal for clout.
so be it. What?
266 billion.
The cops are not coming to get him. He's
They have multiple times, but they can't because he's rich.
yeah. Well played.
No.
He's won the game. You're just jealous.
No.
You do sound jealous.
I don't want to be Elon.
He doesn't want to be Elon.
He totally does.
Have you not seen?
That's what he
he's-
wants you to think.
The
He's
fuck
been-
I do.
He's been talking about quitting his jobs.
Whatever he says, it's bullshit.
He just sold $10 billion worth of stock,
Everything he says on Twitter is to boost Tesla stock price.
and he just sold.
Exactly.
And now he's being sued for it. I think that's hilarious.
It's so funny.
He can't do anything without getting sued
I know.
because he's that big.
Because he's a big con artist. That's why he gets sued all the time. He's literally like Trump, but millennials like him.
No,
Yes.
that's very harsh.
I
Elon Musk is worse
don't
than
really
Trump.
disagree.
Donald is
Ooh,
he's
that's
the only
that's a hard take.
Donald is the only POTUS to attack his own base, like on purpose. That's really very dishonor.
And they still love
You
him.
know, very bad manner.
Yeah, and they still love him.
People who are insane.
People are fucking stupid. It's not even insanity. They're just so stupid.
Elon Musk tweets to boost his stock price and then steals from people.
I'd say if you have the capacity to do that and you don't do it, then you're the one making a mistake because you are failing to enable the system to see its flaws. I'm sure that's how he rationalizes it, right?
His entire job is to steal from people.
Yo, I mean, I think of him like a pen tester of society, right?
Oh my God.
Jimmy, what's your job on a daily basis?
To steal from
Okay.
Oh my God.
I'm glad Rob asked because I was about to. Like, the name of the game is for me to take money out of your pocket, put it in my pocket.
Yes.
It's a game. It's a game. All of life is a game. And if you're bad at it, you tend to judge the morality of it a lot. You tend to criticize the rules a lot. You know, like, oh, it's so not fair. You know?
I think at the end of the day, everyone thinks that they're in the right. When it comes to
I don't agree with that. I think some people know they're in the wrong and don't care.
I think that they can rationalize it in their own way, but I don't think anyone like goes out of their way just to be wrong. I think that people can find a way to rationalize it one way or another. I got to feed my family. I don't give a shit who I'm shitting on in the process, whatever it is.
Killing half the universe is the only way to bring balance to the universe.
Yes. Exactly. I think everyone thinks they're right. And I think it's important to remember that whenever we're talking to each other or talking to anyone, interacting with people in general.
right.
Because it's really easy to get caught up in this, like, us versus them or me versus you or whatever ideology. And at the end of the day, you have to think to yourself, like, this person is probably not being an asshole just to be an asshole to you.
Right.
Or this person is probably not hoarding all this wealth to spite you or a type of people, whatever it may be. That's all.
I mean, analyzing this way of thinking, whether a person is innately driven to be self-interested or not, is kind of, that's, I'm sure you've heard of Hobbes and Locke, right? From like 17th century philosophy.
Yeah.
That's very much, the argument is that is man an innately good entity who wants the best for all people, the greatest good for the greatest number,
What do you believe?
right? Or is it Hobbes, where people are innately self-interested because they are essentially no different from animals? Now,
That's where I am.
I tend more towards that side,
I'm in that camp for sure.
but
Is that the way you see yourself?
In reality, I think so.
I don't.
well,
I
here's,
don't either.
Here's the thing:
I'm 100% in the other camp.
the modern world,
Same.
especially when it comes to stuff like religion, right? Christianity, especially in the Western world, heavily influenced by Lockean, values and influences, right? Our society, at least in the 80s, that's the last time I remember it being prolific, was, basically infusing people as young as possible with the Jungian value system, which is a very Locke thing, Whereas the rest of the world, most of the world, knows nothing of this way of thinking. They believe it is a great sin to act against your own self-interest, right? Or to act against your own self-interest is like the greatest public display of shame imaginable.
Right.
Take the Japanese, for instance, right? That's probably that whole collective mindset. It's a whole different way of thinking than we have, Our narcissistic people do not do as well in that environment because those are not considered virtues in that society, right? At least not as often.
Right.
I mean, they're actively suppressed in that society. Whereas there's plenty of places in Western society where, the acting in your own self-interest is not just encouraged, but like they pour gasoline on that fire. They want you to like dominate the hell out of everything, as many things as you can, right? Or, that is, to not do that is a source of shame, in our society generally. And that's why people end up reading stuff that isn't, narrative fiction. They spend all this time reading books about taxes and stuff. And, that's what they just think about all the time instead of, Mark Twain or something. And I think that's hardened our society.
Absolutely.
It's made people less nice. Sorry, I went off there.
No, I liked it. That was
That's
good.
great.
It's very extra. I mean, think about, the Soviets, right? They were a very self-professed, acting in the collective. They're like really trying hard to act for the greater good in all, appearances anyway.
Right.
They organized their whole society around it. But there are some very horrific people, still, despite, the removal of, ways to measure wealth,
Sure.
right? Those personalities emerge, in one way or another because the currency changes, right?
Right.
It stops being maybe tangible, starts being something else.
Social capital.
Social capital.
So one thing I do want to comment on through this whole thing, obviously in talking about all of this, we've kind of revealed some of our political ideologies. And I think it's really funny that regardless of what we're talking about, at least two of us agree on one thing,
Yeah.
and then two of us are pretty much on the other side.
Sure.
And generally speaking, it's me and Jimmy that align more. But this last topic, it was me and Josh. Topic before that, we were on absolute opposite sides.
Right.
I think at one point, me and Will were on the same side, and you and Josh were like, "What the fuck?" So it's just really funny that, like, regardless of like political compass, whatever, there's always parity somewhere in there.
And I think that shines a light on the need to evaluate each individual issue as an individual issue and not blindly accept just this label that's all encompassing and just defines who you are.
We were just talking about this.
Because, whenever you are at the extreme end of any spectrum and unwilling to hear other people's perspectives and not only hear it, but also consider it, right? Allow yourself to believe that you may not have all the answers. You may not know everything, and be open to hearing other people's point of view. Like, that's the way we grow. That's the way we learn. And, Will's talking about philosophy from 200 or 300 years ago, but there's no way, like, if the four of us decided that beginning today, we're going to become this generation's great minds, great philosophers. If we started just from scratch, just with our own core philosophical beliefs, and didn't take the time to read the philosophers who came before us and learn from their experience, we're starting from ground zero. We're never going to be able to see above a mountain or like past the cliff. Like,
No giants to
you have to
shoulders
stand on their shoulders.
on.
You have
Right.
to. You have to stand on the shoulders of the people who came before you. That's how you learn. And that doesn't mean that everybody who came before you is right about everything. But you're doing yourself such a huge disservice if you don't leverage the experience of other people. And, when it comes to what we were just talking about, whether people are inherently good or inherently bad, I think, you don't have to teach kids necessarily. Like, there's some conversation about right and wrong and things like that, but inherently kids know, like, I should do this or I shouldn't do this with like some very basic core things. That's just an innate knowledge, right? And I believe that everybody knows the difference between like whether this is really truly right or really truly wrong. And again, I'm open-minded. I'd be willing to have a conversation about certain like mental conditions that may block the brain from being able to have those considerations, right? But I think any person of sound mind knows the difference. And it's scary to me to think about the fact that I know that about myself and the way that I believe, but I'm also so jaded by like society and the way people are in society and things like that, that I actively choose to suppress that part of who I am whenever I see somebody panhandling on the side of the road or something like that, because I'm in a position to help those people,
Sure.
but I'm passing judgment on whether I think they really need the help or whether I think they're just working the system, just playing the game. Right?
I don't trust any of them.
Right. And that's so like, who am I to pass that judgment? Right? Who am I to make the decision about which ones deserve it and which ones don't? Like, if I truly want to help people, I should just help people. And I don't always do that.
At the end of the day, everyone's a product of their environment.
Absolutely.
And that's what I try to think as I live through my day, whether I'm at work or whatever it is. Like, if a customer is mean to me at work, like, they're just speaking from their perspective. That's how they were raised, that's how they talk, that's how the people around them are. And I just have to step back sometimes and think about, like, this is how they are. And I shouldn't base my opinions on everyone about or around like my experiences, because they had totally different experiences in their life.
Just to touch on the like panhandlers versus, other people kind of thing. People in need, I guess, right? So
The two types.
Those that need and those that don't. Everyone needs. But I want to go back to a quick story that I guess kind of reveals a little bit about me or whatever. But I often see people asking for money on the side of the road and have signs and like, disabled veteran, please help, whatever it may be. And it is very, very rare for me to give people like that money.
Right.
Just because, I don't know. But I was at a Dunkin' Donuts the other day. This is a couple weeks ago. I sat in line at the drive-thru, and the drive-thru was taking an exceptionally long amount of time, to the point where I was like, holy shit, I haven't ordered yet, and it's been like 10 minutes. What the fuck? So I go to the gas station, and I'm thinking maybe they just had a huge order that they're processing through, whatever. So I go to the gas station, and I'm like, you know what? I really want that peppermint mocha. I want it bad.
Yeah.
So I come back, I go into the store, and I'm up at the counter, and it's 5 minutes before anyone says hello to me. And place my order. I can tell this guy's like moving. Like he's really, really rushing. And this is after a pretty long shift at my retail job. And I was thinking about how short-staffed we were. And I was like feeling bad about it.
Feeling guilty about it, or
No,
angry, or resentful, or what kind of bad?
Somewhere in there, just feeling bad about how much I had to do to pick up for whoever's mistake.
Resentful.
Sure.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like 5 minutes, place my order, another 10 minutes goes by, still haven't gotten my order yet. And I start talking to this guy that's moving all around the kitchen. Like, yo, dude, is it like just you or what's going on? And there's cars waiting outside and everything. And he's like, no, it's like me and one other person. She's doing the other stuff. I'm taking all the orders and doing the drinks. Like, holy shit, dude, that sucks. I'm sorry. And another 5 minutes goes by. I get my stuff. I'm like, hey, so sorry. I work retail. I totally understand. Hope it gets better for you. Then I get back to my car, put the donuts in the car, put the coffee in the car. And I think about it for a second. I'm like, you know what? No. Like, I need to do something here.
Yeah.
So I go back in, tip them $20 a piece.
Sure.
Oh,
And
that's so nice.
like, I'm not telling that because of that, but like, I thought about it and I was like, you know what, man? Like, I know how hard they're working and I know like what they're doing to make all this stuff happen. Like, I go through that on a daily basis. These people are working hard to try to do this. They're not walking off the job because they're short staffed and they're asking for more people. Like, I got to do something. Right. So I don't know. It's just a difference in like who I would give money to, I guess.
Sure.
You reached out and touched them,
Something like that.
and to make it known that you appreciated them, right?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I was just,
personally,
yeah.
it's beautiful.
Thank you.
I dig it. I don't give money to homeless people myself, personally, because let me just give you an experiment, okay? Say Jimmy, all right? Imagine you're a homeless person.
Okay.
All right. And you see somebody who's dressed well and he's walking by you, or say he's just dressed like he's not starving.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you going to say to get them to help you?
I don't know.
You would say anything.
Right.
Anything. You would. Because it's
it'd probably be some kind of desperate.
because it's basically
Yeah.
survival.
Correct.
Yeah. And I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. Is
Everyone's
that
just trying to survive.
I'm not judging anybody, but people who have nothing to lose.
It's true.
And it is a minus EV move in terms of, safety, right?
So is that the primary reason that you don't give money to homeless people, because you fear for your safety?
Yeah. Yes.
What if they have like one leg?
And because you don't know.
Rob.
Yeah, I guess they can't chase you then.
No, that's not what I meant. I mean, like, what if it's like someone with a disabled vet sign that has like one leg and you're like, oh, shit.
Well, I guess if he's got one leg, then maybe more likely.
I'll tell you, this is something that I'm not proud of, but we're all friends here, and all 35 people that are listening are friends too. And,
Is that many?
I rounded up.
I really hope we have 35 people listening.
3 years from now, when we're getting 35 listens, like an hour, this is going to sound really silly. This is very revealing about me, and it's something that I'm not proud of, but like it definitely speaks to my prejudgment of people in these types of situations. I am much, much, much more likely to have gone through a drive-through and have food in the bag and have like a second sandwich and half of a fry or something like that, and roll down my window and offer the food than I am to give money. And that's partially because I know that if I give you food and you just throw it away or whatever, you didn't need the food anyway. And that's $5 that I don't have anymore. But like, I tried to help you because I figure you're out here, you're probably hungry, right?
Sure.
But if I just give you cash, like, what am I enabling?
God
Right?
knows.
Who knows? And I don't know. I guess I would rather know that my money is truly being used to help you. And that's me making a decision for another adult in most cases.
Right.
That it's not my place to make, right? If they want to take that $5 and buy cigarettes or alcohol or drugs or whatever, that's like, I gave them the money. It's their money now. They can do whatever they want with it. It's not my place to make that choice for them. But because of that, I am more likely to direct my money at, like, I would much rather go buy someone a hotel room for the night and a hot meal and a jacket than
That's so
to
nice.
just give them money.
Yeah.
I don't think it's nice though. Like, I think it's me virtue signaling. Like, I think it's me saying, I know what's good for you more than you know what's good for you.
Yeah, because if I'm homeless, like, I probably want to try to cope, like we all do. We're all drinking right now. We all, like, some of us have, like, alcohol problems, smoking problems, whatever it is, you know. I'm not saying all of us in this room. I'm saying all of us as in, like, everyone has some kind of problem, and they cope with it somehow. And if I'm homeless and I want to cope by smoking cigarettes, it makes me feel better. If I want to cope by going and getting a 40 and drinking that, and so be it.
You know what I don't need if I'm that homeless person?
What?
I don't need your fucking judgment.
It's true.
I get enough of that from the rest of the world. Like, I don't need you telling me that you're better than me.
Right. I definitely used to be, what Josh is saying is, like, just going and getting people food or whatever it is. But I did think, like, every time I did that, I thought about what Josh was saying, and I was like, just let them decide. Because it was like you're saying, they're adults. They can figure it out.
I disagree.
You disagree.
I agree with Josh. Besides the feeling bad part,
Oh, man.
I don't want you to spend $5 on alcohol or drugs. I want you to spend $5, or I want you to enjoy my food that I've so graciously bestowed upon you.
But you're making that decision for someone else.
But I worked hard to get that money. Why would I not be able to decide on what they get? It's my charity. Fuck you.
Well, you just don't know what they need.
The charity, though, is not about you. It's about the person you're giving the charity to.
I don't give a shit. It's my money.
You don't know what any of them need. You don't know any of
I
these
know that
people.
you need food to survive.
Yeah, but they might have that. You know,
Okay, they'll eat it later.
They
when
might
they
need-
don't.
This
might need
sounds
something
ridiculous,
else.
but they might need, like, this sounds totally ridiculous, but they might need, like, drugs to survive. I'm not even kidding. Like,
I understand how addiction works.
right.
or a house. You know,
We should give every panhandler a new house.
I
I
mean-
mean, the Appleboys podcast could get big enough to where we could go through America just giving all the panhandlers new houses.
Let's fucking go.
Man, I hope so.
Can I get a house first? Because I don't have a house.
I'll immediately turn into one of those fucking Elon Musk types that just doesn't pay taxes and, like, fuck the homeless. All of a sudden. Become one of them.
I mean, say you were trying to rationalize, you know, the idea of, you know, not helping the homeless. Okay, like what would be the moral rationalization for that? Can you think of anything?
It's the same thing whenever you're, like, at this time of year, everywhere you go to Target, you go to Walmart, you go to Costco, wherever, and at the register at the end, they've got this, do you want to round up your change? Do you want to donate to whatever the latest cause is, right? So,
Right.
like Habitat for Humanity, St. Jude's, all these, some of them really great causes, some of them maybe scams, I don't know. But, like, if you've ever been near people who don't want to donate, like, some people just donate, that's great. But the people who don't donate, normally they make sure to let you know why they're not donating.
Right.
Oh,
Really?
I donate directly to the hospital, or
Right.
I've already written a big check this year, or we do this separately, and it's like this big declaration to defend yourself, to justify why I'm not giving to this charity, and it's bullshit.
I agree.
Two things. One, for the most part, this depends on the cause, but for the most part, 95% of the time, if I see, do you want to donate to whoever, I think to myself, no, the fuck I don't. I make less than $100,000 a year. I don't have the money to donate. I've got to have my own stuff. I've got to pay for my own food.
And your future.
You're a multi-billion-dollar company. Go fuck yourself. You donate the money.
Heavens. But then
Yeah.
they would be depriving you of an opportunity.
Second, I really do have. This is not a gotcha question. I want to know. I'm just curious. Around the table, are you more likely to donate to a cause like St. Jude's or, I don't know, Habitat for Humanity, something to help like homeless people?
Sure.
No.
Just no.
No. I don't donate to those places.
So neither is your choice.
Neither.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you more likely to donate to one or the other? Your answer is no.
Yeah.
I am more likely to donate money to St. Jude's and things that help children. I'm more likely to donate time to Habitat for Humanity.
That's fair.
That is probably the best answer you could generate, but I was just curious.
I think donating time is more valuable than money, typically.
I think it depends.
Because it's
disagree.
time, you kind of have control over where the money goes. Because there's been numerous places that have ended up being like the head honchos or whatever quote unquote charity it is are just taking in all the money.
Yeah, but have you ever gone and like done a Habitat for Humanity, like helped build a house for somebody?
I have.
Me too.
All right, so I have too, and my experience may not mirror yours. I've been twice, and both times I went, we had a large show of force. So there was a lot of people from the organization that I was with there, and there were more people there than things to do, and also most of the people there were not very skilled in what needed to be done to build this house. So the Habitat for Humanity, like people, the staffers or whatever, they have one or two people there that are like contractors, really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And the help is like, hey, bring me that piece of wood so that I can put it in securely and make sure that we're good here. And meanwhile, like, we've got team t-shirts, we're posing for photo ops, we're going to get pizza.
There's a lot of clout there.
And like, it's virtue signaling. It's like,
Right.
I am here so that I can post that I spent the day volunteering to help build this house. But like, how much did I actually help? Like, what's the purpose of me being here? And Habitat for Humanity wants me to be there because they want me to post those pictures, because they
Right.
want not my time.
They want you to.
They want money.
Got it.
They want me to generate something where people are going to bring money. And so, like,
Better than nothing.
no, I agree. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just, it works. Like,
It
Sure.
does.
but
It's not very fulfilling, is it? It didn't alleviate any guilty feelings.
nope.
Well, that's a first world problem, isn't it?
It is.
I'd rather have those problems than the I don't have a house problems, personally.
I agree.
I don't feel bad about that. I mean, right? I mean, I don't know. I think if you believe that, you know, our quality of life will exist probably another 50 years, 60 years into the future, then really what you should be thinking about is getting as much as you can now while it's raining, you know? So you can, you know, try to make sure your bloodline makes it that
Sure.
far into the future. There may, at one point our species was reduced to, like just over 1,000, probably thereabouts,
Right.
after some terrible volcano. You may be playing for a very low percentage shot at making it to interstellar travel 10,000 years from now or something. So in that sense, I would, I'm saying this because that is kind of a moral rationalization for not feeling guilty about not giving away a couple bucks here and there. Because every one of those bucks is a ripple in time that may go 10,000 years in the future and determine whether or not, your people make it,
Are you guys concerned about your bloodline making it?
I think Elon is, right?
So I
Not
think,
even a little bit.
yeah, I think our generation, like specifically like mine and Rob's, maybe Will's.
Will's the
is-
exact same age as me, just so you know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's hard to believe,
Yeah.
isn't it?
So I think mine and Rob's age specifically is way less concerned with our bloodline, like continuing on.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think it's only getting worse.
But you have self-preservation. Self-preservation is a universal thing,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
And you want to be in as good a position as you can be. That is your primary concern, not how's the homeless guy doing for lunch today,
Right.
I mean, if it's between me eating or a homeless man eating, unless this dude is like falling over dying, I'm going to eat.
Sure.
Yeah. There you go. You shouldn't feel bad about that. I'm just saying.
I agree.
I don't think you should either.
I agree.
And by that same token, I would not blame Elon for pulling whatever sneaky things he did to get where he is, right?
I agree with that.
Like, if you could, you would.
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
No.
You would just light billions of dollars on fire.
I would light it on
not,
fire.
Not in the same way. I would find an alternate path that isn't.
If you could, you would.
No, I wouldn't.
I'm saying if you could find an alternate path, you already would. And if the path were in front of you to get there and that's the only path you saw, you'd take it.
I mean, have you heard of Rogo's basilisk?
I have not.
No?
So Elon Musk fucked over so many people that were like close to him to get where he is.
Yeah.
Like coworkers.
That's the rules of the game.
Like I don't
But
think
it shouldn't be. Is my point. That's my entire point throughout this. I'm sorry to interrupt.
I don't think morally I would fuck over my coworkers to be where I am.
No. Unless they sucked.
It depends
Unless they
on your
were-
coworker.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is true.
What if they were terrible? You might not feel so bad.
But that's his. Like, he is rationalizing that. I'm speaking for a completely different person. I'm assuming that if that is the case, you would have to rationalize that and think that other people are beneath you in order to rise above them and say, oh, I'm not taking advantage of these people. These people are leeching off of me. I am sticking up for myself, whatever it might be, right?
Or let's get them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, should is a funny word. It doesn't have a lot of utility, I think, here, right? I mean, that may be a very Machiavellian way of kind of analyzing the situation, but, he played his cards well. Somebody won, somebody lost. That's how our system is. That's the rules of our system. That's how it's designed. He just played it. He played it well.
I think it's very interesting to continue down this path, and we probably don't have enough time to do that because we're now at 2 hours of recording time tonight. But I think if you start changing the dynamic of what we're talking about, but still talk about the same things. So you talk about like how much money you feel like you deserve based on the job that you do. And then you look at other people who are doing the same job and you see what they're doing and you try to decide that you deserve more money than them or less money than them or whatever the case may be. And you do all these different things to sort of justify in your mind why you deserve whatever you deserve. So maybe that's coming in earlier than everybody else or staying later than everybody else or working on your day off or working harder than everybody else or
or getting luckier.
Getting lucky or studying, whatever, but in your mind, you're justifying that next level of like, I deserve this promotion because of these 4 or 5 things, right?
Sure.
But the only perspective you can see is your own. You
This is
can't
true.
see what the other people are doing that you're not seeing, and what the people who are making the decisions are seeing that you're not considering, and what the ultimate goals are and things like that. And so in a lot of cases, somebody gets promoted and maybe it seems unfair. Somebody gets a big raise or a big bonus or whatever, and maybe it seems unfair. And it's all because your perspective is different than the perspective of those who made the decisions and those who were doing the things. So
For sure. It is all about perspective.
and Elon's perspective is that he's in the right.
I have a question.
What's that?
Again, for the table. Do you think you are a good person?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mostly. I do my best. I don't know if I'm a good person. I try not to think in terms of good or evil or good or bad. I see it as like, if I'm operating healthily, then I'll make good decisions for myself. And that is kind of how I see morality, right? If my decision making is good, then I'm living a moral life, right? If it's bad, then it's the opposite, you know? That's kind of it. I mean, good is a subjective term. Morality is subjective, right?
It is.
Who decides that, you know?
I mean, there's a scale for sure. It's not like a binary thing, good or bad.
What do you think, Rob? You good or bad?
I ask myself that question constantly.
Yeah.
It's not always yes. I
Sure.
think if it was a binary answer, I think if it was yes or no, I would say yes. But in reality, like a lot of the decisions that I make, I worry about the details. I worry about like what could potentially happen as a result of that decision.
Oh, yeah. I'm in the same boat.
In my opinion, the fact that you worry about it is what makes you a good person.
I agree.
If you worry about it and then that impacts your decisions in the future, and you're trying to do the right things, it doesn't mean that you do the right things every time. I answered very quickly that yes, I think I'm a good person. That doesn't mean that I'm perfect. That doesn't mean that I'm always doing good things. That doesn't
Right.
mean that I feel good about every decision that I make. But I do feel like, in general, to piggyback off the discussion earlier, like self-preservation is human instinct. So I do want to do things that allow me to continue to survive. And I would prioritize the safety of my family over the safety of others. So I would protect my family differently than I would protect other people. But outside of that, I don't want to see harm come to people or animals, and I don't want to see people suffer. And I don't want to cause people to suffer. And I don't want to be the source of people's bad situations. You know, I don't want to be the reason that people are struggling. So, like, and I actively do things to try to make sure that doesn't happen. And I think, like, by my definition, that makes me feel like I'm at least attempting to be a good person.
Right.
I think to a point, it's about the greater good. But the greater good can always be like the absolute good. And sometimes you run into moral dilemmas. As an example, the trolley problem, right? Everyone's familiar with this.
Oh, man.
Fuck.
What?
We can't talk about the trolley problem.
Why?
We're 2 hours and 6 minutes into this podcast.
We're about to be 3 hours and 6 minutes in this
And
podcast.
it's almost
if we start
it's
talking
almost
about
2
trolley
a.m.
traffic.
We can't trolley problem right now.
Well,
Will, do you know what the trolley problem is?
no.
You don't know what the trolley
What
problem
is the trolley
You're
problem?
literally like a meme lord master, and you don't know what the trolley problem is?
I'm racking my brain.
So
Oh my
the
God.
trolley problem is probably the most famous of the classic moral dilemmas. And paraphrasing here, but basically it's, you're the conductor on a trolley, and you're going down the tracks, and there's basically you're going down the tracks. There's 5 people tied up on the tracks in front of you, but you can divert the trolley and go towards the other track, but there is 1 person tied up on the tracks here. What do you do?
Divert to the one. Divert to the one.
But in doing so, you're actively making the decision to kill 1 person.
So what? It's less than 5.
It is, but that's a very utilitarian viewpoint. If you just let the trolley do what it's doing as is, the 5 people die, but did you actively do that? Did you actively make the decision to kill those 5 people?
If
It's
you
already on that path.
Yeah, but then you can decide to miss them. So I say miss them. Kill only the one guy. Yeah. It's an easy decision. Are you serious?
A lot of people have a lot of issues with this.
Yeah, they're thinking too much.
All right, I'm looking at the other side of the table, and I'm getting death glares over here.
Wait,
I'm with Will on this one. I would also pull the lever.
I think most people would. But
well, these are moral issues of this sort are a feature of a society in abundance. We're riding on a trolley. You
Correct.
feel me? I mean,
Yeah.
and there's a ton of people around. This is let me put it to you like this. Let's say that some terrible disaster happened and people basically there's no electricity and people are scattered across the country, okay? And you had the foresight to build a little like cinder block fortress. Not a fortress, maybe just a box on the side of a mountain, right? And you have tons of canned food and like a desk by the window and a door with a lock, right? You're already 50,000% ahead of everybody out there with no plan at all. Okay. And you go there and you're there for like 3 months. And because you're a very environmentally conscious person, even in this terrible time, right? You have like cans of beans that are empty and you're like, oh my God, what do I do with these? I don't want to waste them. These may be some of the last cans I ever hold in my hand.
Sure.
Right. So what would you do? You'd probably, put some pens in them and set them next to the window. And then, go to sleep, not worry about it. But what that does is advertise to hungry people, which are the most dangerous animals on the face of the earth, that you live there. And they will do anything and say anything to take everything from you. If a bear comes along and sees a bunch of pens in a can in a window, it's not going to think anything of it. It's a bear,
He's going to be like, what the fuck is that?
But human beings have brains. That's what makes them dangerous. Makes them creative about how to take your stuff.
Do bears not have brains?
They do, but they don't know what cans are or pens.
I think bears probably know what cans are.
They also don't know how to work doors. They
do. I have proof to prove otherwise.
Okay, I believe that. But I would say they are less likely to break a window to kill you than a human being. And that's in that world, you're not going to be thinking about morality so much as you're thinking about setting traps for these people, right? People you've never met, and, I hate to put them in this terrible situation where they're starving and I'm still alive, but you're not going to feel bad about that, I'm just saying, I'm just offering a juxtaposition, right? From our very high quality of life, world of abundance, and a place where most people have nothing and you have something.
Hey, Jimmy, I've got a question.
What's up, Josh?
Hey, Jimmy, when you brought up the NFT topic of conversation tonight, did you expect this episode to go the way it went?
Become a philosophical, moral clusterfuck? No. No, I did not.
How do you feel about the way tonight's episode went?
I have a headache.
Rob, how do you think it went?
I'm so happy. And the reason why is because, people don't know this, but we come up with ideas for the podcast. And my very first idea ever was that we should talk about moral dilemmas.
That's true.
And Cory said, we cannot do that. It's going to be way too heavy.
Haha, fuck you, Cory.
Cory's not here, so fuck you, Cory.
This was the most heavy episode so far, and I think it's a great way to celebrate. Well, what episode is this?
This is episode 11.
It's not fucking episode 11 because episode 10 that we tried to record last week may or may not be published to the internet.
10.5.
Episode 10 is absolutely going to be published. Portions of episode 10 must live on forever.
We need to establish this now.
I'm never talking about that ever again.
Well, it's going to be... that story is going somewhere. But it's certainly not going to be episode 10 from what our leader Josh has said.
Will, how do you think this episode went?
Oh, it was delightful.
I think it was delightful as well.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
For those of you listening, we'd like to know what you thought about the episode as well. We would love to get some more engagement in our Discord. You can join that by going to appleboys.us and clicking on the Join Us in Discord button. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at appleboyspod. For the bonus content that Jimmy was just talking about, you can go to patreon.com/appleboys and subscribe. Help us provide homes for the panhandlers in the future.
That I will not be contributing to.
Oh my God. Yeah, Rob's taking his earnings from Patreon and putting it in his pocket.
And as always, if you do enjoy listening to us, we'd appreciate it if you would share this with your friends. We'd like to have more than 30 or 35 listeners. But
Rounding
again,
up.
Thank you guys so much for coming and listening to us, and happy tonight.
Happy tonight.
Happy tonight.
Happy tonight.